name is Jordan Crowe. I am the video editor and motion graphics animator for the Rippaverse. Most of the videos that you see on YouTube, especially for like the Rippaverse channel and some of the Young Rippa 59 videos, I'm the one who edited them. If there's any kind of like animation, motion graphics going on in the videos, then I did that. When Eric is doing his streams for the For Canon's Sake type of streams, I designed all of the overlays and also any like intros, outros type of stuff. I discovered him online through just like randomly going through YouTube, and I first discovered him through like his libertarian stuff, and then I eventually found like got to like the pop culture type of videos and the comic book videos and everything. I was like, hey, this guy kind of checks all my boxes of stuff that I enjoy and all like nerd culture and type of things. And so I started just really watching his stuff. He posted needing an editor, and I contacted him, and we came up with an agreement, and eventually here I am. I'm doing editing. I have a confession. Out of all the people at Rippaverse, I'm probably the biggest normie when it comes to comic books. I grew up in a very small town. Access to comics was very limited. I remember probably the first comic that I ever read in quote, was probably when I was like 6 or 7. My brother had a couple issues of Ghost Rider. And it was like Ghost Rider from the 90s and everything. And I just remember sneaking into his room as an older brother and like looking at his comic and stuff and being like scared, but thinking the art was really awesome and stuff. But it wasn't until I was probably like 12 that I actually was able to convince my parents to buy me comics. And I remember we went to the Walden bookstore, and they actually had a rack with just like a variety of comics, and they had X-Men comics, and I loved the X-Men cartoon, so I talked my parents into getting me 3 issues of these X-Men comics. And it wasn't until I got home when I started reading them did I realize that even though they're all X-Men, they were all different runs. So they had nothing to do with each other. So I was like reading these thinking that they all had like, there were stories continuing, but they had like nothing to do with each other. I was like, oh, they all have X in it. It must be the same story. But no. So that was basically the start and end of my comic book collecting whenever I was a kid. As you see, I have a lot of books behind me. And this shelf right here, right there, all the way up to, you see Mahler. Hi, Mahler. And Fringy. But right up to there is filled with books for this one. Most of it is one series. Some of it is like, it's in the same world and everything. But I'm going to butcher the name because I've never actually heard people pronounce it. But Drizzt Do'Urden. And it's actually, ironically, I didn't know this whenever I started reading the series, but it's a Dungeons and Dragons series. But like many years later, I was like, oh my gosh, this is Dungeons and Dragons. I had no idea. This one, that, and that. So those are like the first 3 books. So it's a fantasy series about a dark elf who is basically wanting to escape his society because they worship an evil goddess. And he goes from, the Underdark into the rest of the world and the surface and stuff. And he's an outcast because everybody fears the Dark Elves. And most of the, probably like the first 10 or 15 books is him trying to prove himself that he is not the same as what his people are and everything. But it's a fantastic series. It's super fun. Like, the fighting is just written so well. If you just like adventures, if you want to go on an adventure, I just highly recommend this series. And the characters, just because it's such, there's like, I think so far there's maybe 32 or 34 books in the series. I think I'm on book 32 is the last one I read. But these characters just go, and it takes over like, place over like hundreds of years because he's an elf. And so he lives on as he makes friends and they die and he gets new friends. And some friends may get reincarnated and come back into his life and everything. So it's just a really fun adventure, and I highly recommend it if you like having fun. As you can see, the books behind me, that takes up, that's sort of something that I spend a lot of time doing, reading. Probably not as much as I would have liked to, but yeah, probably spend too much time doing this. But I'd say probably the majority of my time is with that lovely lady over there. Here, I'll get her so we can hear her. Oh, good girl, yes. So this is Quincy. Yes, and she's my service dog that I've been training since she was 4 months old. And so I spend many hours out of the day and most of my Saturday working with her, just training her to be a good service dog. Yes, you a good girl, yes you are. The real question is, when I order my pineapple on pizza, do I get it only with pineapple on pizza? Or do I get it with olives?